Chapter 2147, Exploring the Cave. The deep pit was cleverly disguised, with no signs of human intervention. And deep underground, one could see that the giant beasts had buried massive machines within the rock layers. A lizard-man general looked at the surroundings and nodded with satisfaction. The trap is set. We're just waiting for those humans from the Huashu Kingdom to take the bait. He walked over and reached out to touch the huge metal device embedded in the rock wall. It looked like a giant speaker with many circular indentations on it. A dimensional space shock device. The nemesis of space ability users. It was originally invented to fight against the Ankylosaurus clan during the previous battle. Once it is activated, the abilities of space ability users will be greatly disrupted and they will be unable to use them normally. As long as that human named Chaos comes to this place, his abilities will be immediately disabled. At that time, he will become our prey. The lizard-man general spoke with excitement in his eyes, licking his lips with his long tongue. But will he really come? If he doesn't, all our hard work setting this trap will be for nothing. Another lizard-man general hugged his arms and said with a hint of worry in his eyes. He wasn't just worried that Johnny wouldn't come. He was also worried that Johnny would actually show up. After all, there were too many powerful members of the Wulwan clan who had died directly or indirectly because of the Huashu Kingdom. That day, Johnny lined up 6 silver armor generals in the sky above Star Island and executed them one by one, a scene that deeply shocked him. He couldn't help but wonder if humans were really as weak as the legends said. They'll come. The first lizard-man general said. The greed in their hearts will bring them here. Even if it means risking their lives, they will come. He raised his claws. The bait we left behind has already been devoured, which will only fuel their greed even more. It's like fishing. As long as the bait is tempting enough, even if they see their companions die from eating it, they won't be able to resist the temptation. He looked up at the sky. The cave had been excavated to an enormous size, and the giant beasts that dug at an incredible speed were still working tirelessly. This is the Tomb of Chaos. With Lord Clod himself guarding it and all of our careful planning, there's no way that the prey that falls into the trap will leave here alive. Every word spoken here and every ripple in space fell invisibly into a dense net, which covered an unimaginably large area and was ultimately transmitted to a huge and terrifying figure deep in the cave. After dispatching the mechanical lifeform squad, Zhang Yi immediately returned to Blizzard City and turned on the surveillance equipment. Although they were underground, the signal was still clear. The Tsunyuan tribe's technology was very advanced. Therefore, Zhang Yi could see everything that the mechanical lifeforms were experiencing. They quickly swam ashore and entered the dark and deep cave. The front of the cave was damp and muddy, but it quickly became dry as they went down. The cave did not go straight down, but branched off in many directions, as if it was home to a large population. Suddenly, one of the mechanical life forms sent a message. Special energy reaction detected. Identified as the source of God. At 9 o'clock, approximately 1.6 kilometers away. Zhang Yi did not hesitate for a moment. Go! Upon receiving the order, the mechanical life forms quickly moved in that direction. In no time, they arrived at the area and began digging at a hard underground rock wall. Various drills and chisels were used, and soon they opened a hole in the huge rock wall. Gradually, a silver light appeared, and the mechanical life form held up a piece of rock with specks on it, which really had traces of the source of God. The detection level is 1/20th of the source of God, the mechanical life form reported. Zhang Yi rubbed his chin. It really looked like it had been buried underground for a long time before being discovered. However, if it was a trap, then it meant that the other party had made it very realistic. Let's continue exploring. Zhang Yi thought to himself. If they could continue like this, it wouldn't be bad to get some more good stuff. In any case, it was impossible for him to go there by himself. Received. The mechanical life forms began searching the nearby special energy field again. During the search, they found some strange things and collected them as well. One after another, they found 2 more similar ore pieces. But soon after, Zhang Yi heard a rustling sound coming from deep inside the cave through them. It sounded as if many feet were crawling over. Zhang Yi's brow furrowed. Are they coming? The mechanical lifeforms also sensed that something was wrong and immediately displayed their weapons. They were fully armed and covered in armor, with a combat power comparable to that of a mutant with around 9,000 points. In the darkness, the bone-chilling sound grew closer. Soon, a pair of huge scarlet eyes appeared in their field of vision. It was a giant spider over 3 meters tall, jet black in color with white joints and blood-red eyes covered with a thick membrane. Screech! This giant spider was only the first, and countless giant spiders appeared from the surrounding caves. It looked like a giant spider nest, similar to the Earth centipede nest. The giant spiders screeched and pounced on the mechanical lifeforms. The mechanical lifeforms were quickly overwhelmed by the sea of giant spiders, with no direction to escape. They could only fight desperately. Encountered mutated lifeforms, spider-like creatures. Combat power estimated at 6,000, 9,000 points, number exceeding 200, impossible to defeat. The mechanical lifeforms were fearless, but they had a mission to complete. They needed to collect the supplies and return them to Zhang Yi. Laser weapons cut through the air underground, firing deadly beams at the giant spiders, but the creatures were so huge that the small wounds were not enough to kill them. Soon, the mechanical lifeforms came up with a desperate plan. Other mechanical lifeforms provided cover while a select few rushed to escort a single unit out of the cave. The plan was executed without a hitch. In an instant, 2 mechanical lifeforms opened fire and charged into the giant spider swarms on both sides. Chapter 2148, Countering the Plan. At the moment they were being gnawed and torn apart, there was a loud boom. They detonated their source of energy, and the sky-high flames lit up the dark underground cave, followed by the screams of a large number of giant spiders. The explosion and flames caused the giant spiders to hesitate slightly. The remaining mechanical lifeforms wasted no time and immediately headed back the way they came. One advantage of mechanical lifeforms was that they never got lost. All possible paths had been calculated by their processors, allowing them to find the fastest route out of the area. Seeing this, the giant spiders in the rear roared and gave chase, those terrifying creatures waving their scythe-like limbs wildly behind them. Whenever they were about to be surrounded, new mechanical lifeforms would rush out and delay them by detonating themselves. This scene actually moved Zhang Yi, who was watching the battle. No wonder races from all eras had developed mechanical civilizations independently. Even a mighty god-level civilization like the Yihen tribe had created powerful human-like beings like Ling, and the Dragon Clan had their human-faced spider legions. These fearless silicon-based creatures were absolutely loyal and useful warriors on the battlefield. One after another, the mechanical life forms sacrificed themselves, and finally, one was successfully sent back to the uninhabited island. The giant spiders seemed to fear the outside world, staying at the entrance of the cave and letting out a few screams before retreating back inside. The lone mechanical life form didn't even glance behind it, but sprayed flames from its back and shot into the sky, flying toward Blizzard City. Zhang Yi crossed his arms under his chin and thoughtfully blinked. Is it a copy of the giant spider? I wish it were that simple, but I'm afraid it's not. However, we don't have enough information at the moment. Black tortoise and vermilion bird are right. Faced with giant spiders of this size, mutants below Epsilon would have no choice but to flee and would be unable to continue deeper. Is it up to me to go personally? The corners of Zhang Yi's mouth curved upward in a smile of delight at discovering something interesting. Ha ha ha. Zhang Yi couldn't help but laugh out loud. What a coincidence, it's really too much of a coincidence. I wasn't sure before, but now I'm 100% certain that this is a trap set by the Wulwan Empire for me. Was it possible that he was wrong? It didn't matter. As long as Zhang Yi thought that place was a trap, that was enough. He would rather do nothing than make a mistake. In fact, if there really was the source of God here, he would be disappointed. Because it wouldn't be of much help to him at this moment. But if it was a trap set by the other party, then he could make good use of it. Zhang Yi stood up, disappeared from where he was with a whoosh, and headed straight for the South Sea region. Above the ocean, he received the mechanical life form. After all, he didn't want to wait for it to fly back on its own, which would take several hours. The mechanical life form handed over all the supplies it had obtained to Zhang Yi. After returning to Blizzard City, Zhang Yi opened the storage box to check its contents. There were a few pieces of mineral ore containing fragments of the Source of God, which was nothing special. He also collected some soil and rock samples from underground, as well as some deep plant roots. However, among these things, Zhang Yi suddenly discovered something very special. A hair. A thick, long hair. What is this thing? Is it from a spider? Zhang Yi picked it up and looked at it under the light above his head. It doesn't look like spider hair. It's a bit soft, so it should be the hair of a mammal. But I remember that lizard people don't have this kind of hair. Zhang Yi thought for a moment and called Zhou Qir over. Zhou Qir came into the living room, and Zhang Yi handed her the hair. Qir, help me analyze what kind of creature this hair belongs to. Zhou Qir took out a pair of gloves, put them on, and took the hair. After just one glance, she looked at Zhang Yi with a strange expression. What's wrong with you today? Are you playing cold jokes with me? Zhang Yi was just picking up a glass of water to drink when he heard this, and he was taken aback for a moment. Zhou Qir rubbed the hair and pursed her lips. Why are you testing me with Totoro's hair? Huh? Zhang Yi turned his head to look at the fireplace. Totoro was lying there lazily, his fat body looking like a large blanket. Flower was lying on his belly, sleeping soundly. Zhang Yi looked closely at Totoro and then at the hair. It did look like it came from Totoro. This isn't from Totoro. Zhang Yi told Zhou Qir what had happened. Zhou Qir blinked and said, then I'll take it to get tested. She took a hair from Totoro, who rolled over a little board and scratched his butt in a cute way, making Zhang Yi and Zhou Qir smile. The two went to Zhou Qir's medical room and put the two hairs in the instrument for analysis. Soon, their genetic composition was analyzed. After testing, it was determined that these genes came from the same species, but because Totoro had undergone a mutation, there were slight differences. Totoro's species? Zhang Yi thought about Totoro's background. He had brought Totoro back from Mist Valley on Star Island, and after the frog communicated with it, he learned that it was an engineering beast specially bred by the Wulwan clan for digging. This species had no other advantages, but they were docile and very good at digging. Even when encountering hard rock layers underground, they could quickly dig through them. Now we can confirm one thing. That place is indeed a trap set by the Wulwan clan. Zhang Yi smiled and narrowed his eyes. My judgment was correct. Zhou Qir heard this and said nervously, the Wulwan clan is really relentless. They always want to hurt you. It doesn't matter. Zhang Yi shook his head dismissively. Everyone knows very well that between two civilizations, only one can survive. They desperately want to kill me, the hidden threat, and I want to destroy their entire tribe. Now, it's a matter of who is better prepared and more capable. Zhang Yi's eyes flashed with a grim killing intent. Zhou Qir asked, Zhang Yi, what are you going to do? Zhang Yi laughed coldly. They went to so much trouble to set a trap for me. If I don't go, wouldn't I be letting them down? Zhou Qir said nervously, you know it's a trap, but you still want to go? Isn't that too dangerous? Zhang Yi laughed, I'm not going to be in danger. They are. I'm going to take the bait,